Hi, my name is Dan Wolfson and I'm with Pragmatic Data Research. I'm also with the Egeria open source project. Egeria is an information management system that helps you to manage, exchange, and use information for data governance and to facilitate data use. Today we're going to be talking about a new capability that we're developing for Egeria. It's called Dr.Egeria. Dr.Egeria enables plain text data governance. Sound intriguing? Let's get going. To demonstrate Dr.Egeria, I'll be using the Egeria Workspaces environment, which is based on Docker Compose and includes Egeria and a Jupyter server, along with a number of the libraries that we normally use. On my screen, I'm showing a browser that's pointing to a Jupyter Lab site, and I have two panes open. The left-hand pane has the markdown document, Dr.Egeria Intro Part 1, and the right-hand pane includes the same document, but it's now using the native Jupyter Lab markdown renderer to display it. In Dr.Egeria, we allow you to put in commands using regular markdown notation. As we look at this, we can see that we have Introduction to Dr.Egeria. This isn't a Dr.Egeria command. It's just a regular heading 1. And then we have some narrative text. Then we come down and we see that there's another heading 1 called Create Glossary. That is a Dr.Egeria command, and it has glossary name as a heading 2 along with language and description and usage, and those are all attributes of the Create Glossary command. And you can see that we just put in text to fill out each one of these attributes. And so we can then have another section of text within the same document. It says heading 1 first walkthrough, and it's just another piece of narrative text, and in this case it's describing what we just saw in the Dr.Egeria command. So this document is actually a markdown document that is both describing what Dr.Egeria is and also implementing Dr.Egeria commands with things like the Create Glossary command up here. So we're intermixing the documentation and the ability to process that document. So as we walk through, we can see that we're now creating some terms, such as command, and then we can walk through further and see that we're creating another term called source, and we can see that we're creating another term called directive. For each of these, we're providing the attributes that go along with that term. Not all attributes have to be filled out. So in Dr.Egeria, you only need to specify the attributes that you're going to fill out. Most of them are really optional. If you're not going to fill them out, you can either leave them blank or just not include the attribute at all. Here we've specified the terms, and now we can say, well, now what? So let's take a look at how this same document looks in the rendered form. On the right-hand side, we can see the introduction to Dr.Egeria, an Egeria markdown processor. Here's our Create Glossary command, and we can see that's just a nice piece of text in markdown. There's a little bit more narrative discussion in our first walkthrough text. And now you can see the Create commands, and it's very easy to read. And now we're back to this now what, and you can see that in fact, I've also embedded a little mermaid diagram that tells us what to do. What this shows us is that we, with the text editor, such as what we're using here, or Jupyter Notebook, we can then build Dr.Egeria content in markdown form. We'll run that through a Dr.Egeria command, and when we run that, we can run it in 3 different modes. Either we can run it in as a display, or validate it, or actually process it. If we run it as display, it'll just echo back the text that we're doing. If we run it in validate, then it will run checks to make sure that this command can be executed properly. And if we run it in process mode, then it'll actually go ahead and process the commands that it finds. At the end of processing file, what Dr.Egeria will do is it will also generate an output file, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. So let's give it a try. To process the file, we can start Hey Egeria command line interface with Hey Egeria TUI. That brings up the menu of options here. We can select Process Markdown File, change the file name so that we're pointing to the correct file, and now we can see that we have some directives. We can tell it to either run it as a display command, validate, or process it. So let's just go ahead and validate it. We'll run that, and what you can see is that it's run through our file, and it's found, for example, that For the first command, create glossary, Egeria markdown with directive validate, it's found that we're missing the qualified name, which is fine. It's just a piece of information. We can optionally specify the qualified name. We don't have to. We'll manufacture one for you in Dr.Egeria. And it says it's valid to create the glossary with these parameters. Then it found our create term command, and it saw that we were missing these fields. And again, that's fine, completely legal. They're optional fields. It's valid to create the term, and it created the term with this information that we provided. Similarly, we see that we can create the term for source, and we can create the term for validate. So we see that it's legal for us to create this, so let's just go ahead and do it. So we can run Hey Egeria again. Once again, we can select this, and now we'll go ahead, instead of saying display or validate, we'll say process, run that. And you can see that it did the same thing. It told us that it's legal to do it, and it also, at the end, has written some output here. So let's take a quick look at this output. So we can go navigate over to where that is. It's in the distribution hub, in the Dr.Egeria outbox. We see that we've created this file. And if we look at this, it starts with the word processed. And so that's how we know that this is a processed file. And so this has the same text as our original file, has all the term information. But one of the things that you'll notice is that instead of saying create glossary, we've changed this to update glossary. And the reason that we do this is so that now, if you wanted to, you could copy this file and edit it directly and use it to update the glossary information if you wanted to. Similarly, we now have an update term, and just makes it easy to have a starter file to do your next round of updates to Dr.Egeria. And then at the very end, what you'll see is that we have a little provenance command, and it says that this file was the result of processing Dr.Egeria Intro Part 1. Pretty cool. Okay, let's move on to the second file.